Good afternoon. So right now I'm going to show you how to go about foiling your low relief piece, your Starry Night piece, or the piece that you're creating using 5-ply chipboard and aluminum foil, paint, and glue. Now you see what I've done here. I've just created a very small version of my design on a piece of board that's only 1/4 the size of my regular board. You don't have to do anything like this. I'm only doing it so I can shorten the amount of time that I use to demonstrate this skill, okay? I've got my piece of manila paper here. I've got a piece of aluminum foil bigger than my sheet. That's going to be important. I have a regular size sheet here. This is a good example of Janus mask, showing the theater mask, comedy and tragedy, or in this case it looks almost mean and angry. But you don't have to do that subject matter. What I've got here is my Starry Night scene with a moon and a couple of stars, a tree, a couple of hills. If you notice how when I cut the hills right there in the middle and I spaced them apart a little bit so the paint can fall into that groove, I'm going to have to come over here on the edge from the back and trim off that excess. So I'm going to cut that off. And I see a little bit of a tree branch there that's sticking off the edge that also needs to be trimmed. So this back remains rectangular, okay? Now I have some Elmer's glue here that I've thinned down with water. Water is the universal solvent, and I'm gonna take my glue that's been thinned down with a little bit of water, and I'm just gonna paint a thin layer of glue on the back here. And that's what you're gonna do, except you're working larger, okay? You've got a full sheet of 5-ply chipboard. I just have a 1/4 sheet. And so I'm laying this glue down nice and evenly. It coats the aluminum foil on the back very nicely. I don't want a lot of glue. I just want a nice, thin, even layer. So that's done. Now, I'm going to take my design in chipboard, put it face down. You notice how I've already put my name on the back, smack dab in the middle. And I put my class period too. Carefully bring the foil up and over the edges, squaring it off with the piece of chipboard. Keep working on your manila paper here. You can do a lot of this at your seat, okay? Maybe the glue can be applied at the back counter where the glue and the brush are, but a lot of the tooling can be done at your seat. Now I can't see the design, so I've actually got to bend the metal and stretch the metal and can make the metal conform to the design. I'm going to start with the ball of my hand here and just apply some pressure. Already you see the glue adhering to the cardboard, and you see my design standing out. Okay, again, just using the flat part of your hand, going over that. Now you're gonna switch to your fingertips, okay? And just run your fingertips along the edges. Try not to have your fingernails tear anything, okay? Because the foil's pretty thin, it will tear pretty easily. Even if it tears, that's usually no big deal. We can normally hide those mistakes pretty easily. Now, I'm ready for one more special tool, very special tool, and that would be this pencil, but I'm not going to use it as a drawing tool or a writing tool. I'm going to use it to force the foil into these grooves a little deeper. So if you watch, I'm gently going to run the pencil eraser, that's the important part here, along that groove to make that groove more well-defined, so the paint will really go down in there. And I don't press hard all at once, just a little at a time, back and forth, back and forth. Notice how I even get into some of these smaller areas of the stars, pressing, pressing, pressing. Okay, I continue to press. The aluminum foil may have a few additional wrinkles or lines in it. We actually kind of prize those, we admire those and desire those, because that's going to give a certain texture to the surface, and we are looking for a certain texture. We want this to appear to be an old piece of metal sitting around the warehouse now for decades, darkening with time and oxidizing. Oxidizing would be when oxygen in the air combines chemically with the material, the metal itself, causing it to darken, okay? And that's what we're going after. Now, right now, it's hard for you to see the difference between tree and moon and background, night sky, and stars. I mean, everything's silver, right? I'm just going around here adding a little extra texture. But that's going to change here in a little bit when I apply my paint. So I'll just go ahead and get my paint and apply it in a little bit. I may turn that into a final video for this, but right now you just do your foiling, okay? Get this far, cut out your chipboard, arrange your design, glue it down. Once it's all glued down, then you're gonna lay glue on the back of a sheet of foil, place your design face down on the glue, and then begin to tool your surface. Use the ball of your hand first, then your fingers, and then finally the eraser on the end of a pencil to make sure these lines are all well defined. Okay, now you try.